Good morning, Malta and Gozo, and welcome to another episode of Lovin Daily. My name is John Paul Tapati. Today I'm joined by Jonathan Chia, and these are your 5 headlines for today. A contractor has been fined after minor error causes major traffic jam in south of Malta. Period changes after COVID-19 jab are not a sign of concern, says a leading gynecologist. Motorists have been outraged after speed bumps and cameras have been installed in a Marsa car park. Debates have erupted over the first trans athlete to compete in the Olympic Games, and the entertainment protest has been called off after Chris Fern meets organizers. John?
So maybe you were stuck in a major traffic jam yesterday morning, especially if you were in the south of the island, but worry not. A contractor who was responsible for this traffic jam is going to be fined by Transport Malta. So yesterday, people coming from the south of Malta received a message, if you have the Tallinja app at least, telling them to avoid the Santa Venera tunnels. That's because a contractor who had cleared out the water culvert ahead of a resurfacing job that was meant to happen yesterday, had cleared it out, but he had just covered up the culvert with a steel plate, one of those large steel plates that you often see on the roads. However, within hours, the steel plate had shifted and turned the 2-lane tunnel into a 1-lane tunnel, causing a major backlog. People reported being stuck in traffic for up to an hour, even up to an hour and a half yesterday morning. Obviously not fun at all. Transport Malta has fined the guy, and Infrastructure Malta are open to legal action or taking legal action against the contractor. So good to see that there's a bit of responsibility on this, but my heart definitely goes out to anyone stuck in traffic in the morning, especially in this heat.
Absolutely, yeah. You mentioned it's with the heat wave going on right now, especially if your AC in your car is broken or whatnot. It's the worst place to be. Everyone talks about wanting to go back to normal, but I guess this is what normal looks like. Long traffic jams in Malta during the midst of summer. I think we all wish, at some point like yesterday, that if you were stuck in that jam, that you were just working from home again in the AC in your pajamas. Moving on to our second story, a number of women have noticed that the period has changed after taking the COVID-19 vaccine, but a leading gynecologist says it's not anything to be concerned about. Several women spoke to Lovin Malta, reporting changes to their regular periods, with symptoms ranging from some women experiencing much heavier periods than normal to other women suddenly having a period after years of not having one. Now, obviously, if you are in that state, knowing the controversies around the vaccine as it is, and then seeing that, after years you had your period again, you would be concerned. Thankfully, a leading gynecologist, Mark Brinkat, the former director of obstetrics and gynecology at Malta, said it's not something to be concerned about. He pointed out the link between a woman's menstrual cycle and their immune system, explaining that it wasn't uncommon for one to impact the other. And he also said that irrespective of whether it's the COVID-19 vaccine or anything else, including inducing a strong immune response could very easily impact one's menstrual cycle. So essentially, women, if you are concerned that your period is maybe a bit heavier or unusual because of the vaccine, it's good. Experts out here are saying, in fact, that this is nothing to be concerned about. In fact, he said, Brinkat noted that this is likely to be temporary, while stressing that any effects brought about the vaccine should not result in people being put off.
Lovin Malta looked into this story after a number of women reached out to us with a number of stories ranging in a number of effects, that had come after they had gotten their COVID-19 jab. So we definitely wanted to look into this. And it seems like this isn't just happening in Malta, it's also happening abroad, but obviously this is very, very, very new. This is a potential after effect of getting the COVID-19 jab. But in the UK, they did do a bit of a look into it, a bit of a survey, and they found that over 4,000 women in the UK had reported some type of side effect to their menstrual cycle after taking the COVID-19 jab. That said, the official line is still take the vaccine. The benefits definitely outweigh any temporary side effects. And they even said themselves in the UK, as far as the UK's Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists go, that any links between the vaccine and changes to the menstrual cycle are coincidental. That said, if you have been severely affected by this, do contact Lovin Malta. We are very interested in your story. Moving on to the next story, one that involves, motorheads, petrol heads, and people who love cars and automobiles in Malta. This community has been clamoring clamoring and calling for somewhere to hang out, somewhere to stay and enjoy their cars for years. And a new car park in Marsa had become their de facto home recently. For weekends, for the last few weekends, a lot of car enthusiasts had been showing up with their polished cars, taking photos, taking videos, etc., etc. However, authorities are now clamping down after reports of things like donuts and drifting were reported in the car park. Car enthusiasts woke up to find that speed bumps as well as cameras had been installed all around this car park. Now, the car park was never intended to be used for motor enthusiasts exactly. However, they're looking for a place and they found this new car park to use. One motorist took to social media after the revelation of the new speed cameras and bumps to say, quote, you know, in Malta, you just can't have a hobby because everyone picks on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is their, not just a hobby, for a lot of people it's their passion. And like you said, they've been looking for a place to you know, show off their passion and express it. Unfortunately, in this circumstance, everywhere they go, they find a roadblock, so to speak. And you know, there is the case that yes, in some cases they're doing donuts or they're drifting, but for the majority of time, it's them showing up with their cars and doing meetups, car meetups, so to speak. So to see that authorities are just catering to the few, you know, people who complained and not to the wider community, and haven't provided any alternate solutions for them, right? It's sad to see again, you know, yeah, if you have a hobby in Malta, keep it hush-hush because people will come after you. Moving on to what's perhaps been one of the most controversial and debated topics of the week regarding Kiwi trans woman weightlifter Laurel Hubbard, who's been allowed to participate in the women's category in the Summer Olympics this year in Tokyo. I'm sure everyone is aware of the story, but essentially Laurel Hubbard, who in 2013 came out as transgender, will now be competing in the women's 87 kg category, and was allowed to by the International Olympic Committee in 2015 when they made a decision to allow trans women athletes to participate if they showed a testosterone level of less than 10 nanomoles per liter. At least 1 year prior to competition. Hubbard met that criteria, so she will be competing this summer. But of course, it's a lot of debate, right, on whether trans women should be allowed to compete in a women's category. Lovin Motor spoke to a renowned strength and conditioning coach yesterday, Nigel McCarthy, to get the kind of science behind the reasoning, and he essentially came out saying that Hubbard, in this case, has an unfair biological advantage because of increased or higher testosterone levels, which not only helps her with weightlifting, but also increases her muscle mass, bone density, decreased fat percentage, and recovery time when compared to other female athletes. And there's also the argument that obviously these female athletes have been working their whole life for these competitions, for Olympics that comes around once every 4 years. And for a trans woman to just come in with increased testosterone level kind of puts them in a grave disadvantage and kind of rubbishes all their hard work. But obviously there's the other side of the argument that people are making, that this is a matter of inclusivity, that, you know, yes, she is a woman and she should be allowed to participate in the women's category. I'm not sure what you make of the whole debate, John.
You know, my social media feed yesterday was just full of reactions to the stories. You know, people who are really strongly against her participating in the Olympics. Many people who are strongly in favor of her participating. You know, I'm not a medical expert, so I definitely, you know, can't really comment when it comes to body changes or whatnot. But I do think it's a very, very interesting and modern debate that we're going to be seeing happening over the next few years, especially.
It needs to happen.
It definitely needs to happen, and it's good to see, you know, what's already happened when it comes to transgender people attending Olympic events and also addressing world records. And if you look at 2019, a transgender athlete, Rachel McKinnon, had actually broken the sprint cycling world record with a timing of 11.6 seconds. So we are seeing world records already changing. That said, you know, this athlete from New Zealand, you know, has been working hard at this for years. I'm sure her skill level is, you know, at a very high level. She's been training, she's dedicated herself to this. If I'm not mistaken, she's been working at it even for years prior to this transition.
Yeah.
So this is an athlete whose life is probably weightlifting and dedicated to this sport as well. So from my end, I'm just really interested in seeing how she does at the Olympics this year, whether any world records will be broken, and in future, how many more transgender athletes we're going to be seeing entering the top level stages of competition. Moving on to the final story of today, you know, tomorrow there was meant to be a protest held in Valletta, attended by entertainers, DJs, musicians, etc., etc. But this protest has been called off at the last minute after the organizers, the Entertainment Union in Malta, MEIA, met with Chris Fern and Jose Herrera, the health minister and cultural minister, respectively. So a lot of people were looking forward to this protest. Obviously, the entertainment scene in Malta has been decimated in light of the COVID-19 pandemic and mitigation measures rolled out by the government. So many people were hoping to take to the streets to voice their concerns and their anger and their outrage over their treatment. However, it has been called off after the meeting. You know, a lot of people weren't very happy that the protest was called off. I saw a lot of musicians saying, that it showed a lack of a spine, a backbone in the organizers for announcing this protest, coming out so hard, and then, canceling last second. That said, the organizers did say that they withhold the right to organize the protest next week on the 30th, if, new measures are not rolled out that's suitable to them by the government.
And like you said, the entertainment industry has been devastated over the past year. People have had enough and they want to take a hardline stance. But when it came to that, protest being called off doesn't kind of reflect the anger and frustration that all these people have been feeling.
That's exactly right.
Let's hope that it was called off for good reason, in anticipation that today or tomorrow we get some new measures being announced, but we'll just have to wait and see. Make sure to stick around as well, because we will be talking to Bertu Aquilina, who forms part of the entertainment industry with his band Skald. They'll be performing over the weekend in what is one of the first festivals, I think, to happen in Malta in person, the Hybrid Festival. But for now, we'll take a quick short break.
In Malta, we don't say.
Welcome back to Lovin Daily. We're now joined by Bertu Aquilina. Bertu, good morning. You're the percussionist and drummer of a band called Skald. Yes. Skald are performing this Saturday at the Hybrid Festival at Piazza Teatro Real. Yes. I believe it's one of the first festivals to be held kind of in person, and it's quite a monumental festival for you because you release your new album, which we have a copy here, called Kura.
Yes.
I want to start off first by talking about this album. It's got a super interesting cover,
yes.
And beautiful design and stuff. But let's talk about exactly what Kura is and what it represents.
The album Kura is a journey of these last 3 years with the help and support of Festivals Malta. The aim of the band and this album is to promote Maltese folk music, Ana, in a contemporary way, mixing it with our own original material. Kura, in this album we tackle a lot of different subjects, from nature to old sayings, to solitude, love, fantasy. And one of the tracks is called Kura, translated cure, and we believe that this track represents the whole album, where we are finding a Kura for each subject we're tackling in.
And these subjects, are they distinctively Maltese? Do they relate to the Maltese island, or are they just wider themes about life in general?
They are quite in general when it comes to, let's say, love or fantasy. Everyone has their fantasies. It's all in Maltese, so we believe it's when we sing in our native tongue, sort of it's our best way to interpret it, our feelings to the general public.
Absolutely, and yeah, it's a very interesting mix of contemporary and modern sounds. Something don't really hear much of in Malta. Like you said, it draws on the Maltese folk music, that kind of tradition and background, but in a contemporary and modern way. Can you explain to me this front cover here? It's got the sandpaper feel to it.
Yes.
If you purchase the album, be able to feel it yourself. What is the reasoning behind this?
We gave some extra love to the hard copy because we believe with all the soft copies, they're good, they're important in this modern day life. But having a hard copy, especially for a collector, is quite important. So here, what we have done with the album, we done this cutout on sandpaper, because sandpaper is the cure to remove scald, splinters from a piece of wood. So that's the sandpaper is the cure for scald.
Excellent.
To remove scald.
This album comes out this Saturday.
This Saturday, yes.
As you perform in the Hybrid Festival. Your first show
since 2019.
2019,
Yes.
so pretty much almost 2 years. How does it feel like to come back to a live audience after 2 years? And what are your feelings right now, knowing that you can perform?
We're very excited to be in with a live audience again. It's going to be a minimal, all with social distancing. Extra precautions are being held. It's super extra safe to attend to this hybrid festival at the PTR Theatre in Valletta. We're really looking forward to it.
Do you feel though that these kind of measures, these precautions taking place, whether it's a certain sound decibel level or not, does that limit your creativity? Does that impact your live performance as a band?
It does a bit, because the experience with the audience is very important. Even when it comes to decibels, some decibels can be easily done on a percussion instrument without miking. So
is there a limit on the decibels? Are there
yes.
people going to be monitoring how loud?
Yes. Everything
it's
is
a bit
going
strange for a live concert, right?
I think the fact that the theater is going to be held from, I believe, from a 500 to 140 capacity, even that will help, because maybe blubbering of people or whatever, and the fact that no bars or no food stalls are going to be available, that will help the environment and the venue for a better quality and better experience.
Absolutely. And what about the kind of lead up to the festival? Have things changed with regards to the setup? How your sound checks and stuff? Like, does it seem alien to you now a bit?
Yes, they gave us the regulations and of the venue itself. For example, it's going to be an album launch, and for safety reasons, we can't sell albums at the venue. So it's going to be an album launch, but whoever is interested in purchasing our album has to book it online, and we can set a delivery for those who are interested in our album, for safety reasons, because when having a stand, an album stand or merch stand, it may cause it can break the social distance.
Right. So you're not able to meet your fans after?
No, that's very sad.
You just go on stage, perform your set at a certain decibel level.
Yes.
If you go above that, what happens?
I think there will be consequences for the organizers, most probably. But even not meeting with fans afterwards at the venue, or not even having your own partner backstage, is quite strange and sad.
It's sad,
yes,
right?
yes. But that's the way forward to maybe restart doing something.
Right.
Back
I think that's the hope, of the past few weeks, especially with the entertainment industry now in discussion with, health ministries and whatnot about reopening. What did you make of the protest being called off? Do you think that was a good decision? I mean,
hopefully some good results and some better measures will come out from this decision. We hope against hope.
yeah. So all you can do right now is hope, I imagine. But in the meantime, you do have your album launching, so
Yes.
it's a good start. It's a fresh chapter for Skald. If you're interested in kind of a really unique fusion of contemporary, modern, and Maltese folk music,
Yes.
then I definitely suggest you check this out. I would tell the audience to come see you Saturday,
Yes.
but obviously capacity is limited and whatnot. But absolutely,
Very few tickets left.
few tickets left. But if you're super interested, and definitely I recommend the hard copy because
Yes.
it is a masterpiece,
Thank you.
and it's got an incredible inside leaflet as well that explains the songs. Definitely check out Skald, and in the meantime, let's hope that the entertainment industry does kickstart again, so that we can see you and other bands in their full glory, as opposed to limited capacity and seating and whatnot. Bertu, thank you so much
Thanks
for
for
joining us today. Appreciate it, and everyone who tuned in, have a day full of lovin'.